A significant breakout will soon follow on Adobe. Today, we analyze Adobe. However, we actually take a look at a higher time frame in order to determine exactly where Adobe will head next in the near future. If we start this analysis here on the monthly time frame, we first of all have to determine the underlying trend. On Adobe, it's not too difficult. You can see that overall, looking at the higher time frame, it's clear that Adobe is trending towards the upside. Yes, you're absolutely right. As we're speaking, Adobe is trading at the exact same level as it was in the beginning of 2020, meaning that for almost 2,000 days, 5 years in a row, Adobe has overall been trading sideways. All of this has not been unexpected though. Back in the end of 2021, after basically rallying an incredible move towards the upside, Adobe created an all-time high. We simply saw rejection on the smaller time frame followed by bearish confirmation, and therefore Adobe created an overall expected reversal at the previous all-time high. Ever since, Adobe also created or started to create a major resistance trend line. And always in the past, when Adobe then came back to retest this trend line, we saw a beautiful rejection away towards the downside. On the other side, Adobe, starting back even further in the end of 2018, started to establish a significant lower support trend line. Here, always when Adobe retested this lower green support, a retest was followed by a substantial rejection higher. You can see that in mid-2022, Adobe was retesting also previous resistance, which after the break towards the upside was simply turned quite strong support. And after we saw a retest of this so-called confluence of support, it was quite obvious that Adobe now created a bottom and will simply rally. A substantial breakout will follow, and just to give you a comparison, we saw a quite similar breakout back in 2012, where on the one side, Adobe had this upper red resistance trend line, shorter term resistance trend line. On the other side, this lower green support trend line, longer term support trend line. We saw the expected breakout in the end of 2012, and this breakout was followed by a significant rally of 2,000%. Now, obviously, I don't expect another rally of 2,000% to happen, but first of all, you can see that as we're speaking, Adobe is retesting a significant support. Following this overall uptrend and triangle consolidation, there is, just looking at probabilities, a higher chance that we will see a breakout. And such a breakout would lead us at least all the way back up to the previous all-time high around the $700 level, which would already constitute a move of plus 80%. In my opinion, just following this overall trend and the continuation pattern, we are dealing with an overall expected rejection here on Adobe, and it literally all just comes down to bullish confirmation on the smaller time frame, and then Adobe is setting up for a significant triangle breakout rally. If you enjoyed today's analysis of Adobe and if you found it any helpful, as always, I really appreciate if you smash the like button below. I will see you tomorrow with a fresh breakdown. And despite Adobe consolidating and creating volatility, make sure you don't get caught up in any of the short-term moves and you keep your long-term vision.